What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex here, and you're watching the Ragin Nation Show. This is just a web series where we're talking about all things that matter to me in the world of upcoming films. In this episode, we're going to talk about Tom Cruise and a couple of potential sequels that Tom Cruise could be involved in. Right now, he's making big waves at the box office with the success of the latest installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I saw it. It was great. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Recently, the 53-year-old actor was seen on The Daily Show doing an interview, and he mentioned that he had no signs of slowing down. He talked about potential sequels like Top Gun 2, Edge of Tomorrow 2, and also Mission Impossible 6. Let's talk about Top Gun 2. And the last time we heard something about Top Gun 2 was when Jerry Bruckheimer mentioned that there is talks about it happening. Now, this was probably a year ago, or at least half a year ago. But based on the recent interview on The Daily Show, Tom Cruise mentioned that there's no discussion right now, but he's only going to make this film on one condition, and that is they do it for real, as in no CG, no CG jets. And that is something I really, really respect. But you got to understand that to make a film, sometimes you just gotta add CG. I mean, look at Mad Max Fury Road. Now, if you don't already know, there's actually a ton of CG in Mad Max Fury Road. Even though they did a lot of those car stunts for real, a lot of what you see in the background has a lot of CG. And the reason why we don't notice it at all is because it's done really, really well. I think they can get away with making Top Gun 2 with CG, especially the CG that we don't notice. It enhances the film, but I respect his point of view because he made Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, as well as Ghost Protocol, as well as a lot of his other films with him doing his own stunts. And I totally respect that. Now, as for Top Gun 2, if you don't already know the gist of the story, it's about drone warfare and how warfare has evolved using drones as opposed to actual fighter jets. And he becomes a teacher, or rather an instructor, just like how Kelly McGillis' character was an instructor. Well, he takes on that role. He's there to train a couple of hotshot pilots, but then he realizes that the best way to actually take out the enemies is not with drones, but actual jets, where he flies. And I'm pretty sure that, the drones just aren't doing the job, and then he says that he's got to go in to battle. And that's when he either flies an F-14 Tomcat or a Raptor, okay? If they want to make it totally over to the top, they can have him pilot an F-14 Tomcat. If they want to keep it a little bit more realistic, then he'll fly a Raptor. But that's what's going on with Top Gun 2, which is not a whole lot. There's no actual discussion about it. Like I said, Top Gun 2 is only going to happen with Tom Cruise doing, having it made real, as in real jets, with little to very, very minimal to no CG. Alright? Now let's talk about Edge of Tomorrow 2. And Edge of Tomorrow, the first film, was actually a film that I was pleasantly surprised with. It made, I think, $100 million at the domestic box office, but it was actually a really, really good film. I really enjoyed it, and to top things off, it was a quality film. Like, it was, very highly reviewed with a really high score. So, I totally see potential for a sequel. And he mentioned that him and Christopher McQuarrie and Doug Liman have been talking about it. Like, he pitched the idea to Christopher McQuarrie and Doug Liman about the story, and he wants to get Emily Blunt on board. And they talked for a little bit, but Emily Blunt said that she wants Tom Cruise to give her a year before she jumps back into a big action role. All right, so that's what's going on with Edge of Tomorrow 2. Not much, just the throwing of ideas back and forth right now. And I think that Tom Cruise wants Doug Liman to direct and Christopher McQuarrie to write the story. So that's what's going on with the Edge of Tomorrow sequel, which is in a very, very, very early stage of development hell. Okay? Anyways, let's move on to talk about Mission Impossible 6, and when the heck is that going to happen? Well, it looks like we're going to get it sooner than later because Tom Cruise mentioned also on The Daily Show that he would like to see Mission Impossible 6 happen, or rather be released in 2 years. Right now it's 2015, and he says that he would like to see it in 2017. And that's typically the amount of time that it takes for a big genre film, or rather a big franchise film, to happen. I mean, look at the Fast and Furious films. They're like 2 years apart from each other. And also look at the Transformers films. They're 2 years apart from each other. Look at the Marvel films. Right? They have no sign of slowing down. They just keep on pumping out sequels. So that seems to be the way to go, and it looks like Tom Cruise wants to jump on that bandwagon, which is kind of odd in my opinion, because if you look at the history of the release of the Mission Impossible films, there has been a huge gap of time between each sequel. The gaps have been anywhere between 4 to 5 to 6 years. All right. For example, Mission Impossible came out in 1996, and then 4 years later, in 2000, Mission Impossible 2, and then 6 years later after that, 2006, Mission Impossible 3, and then 5 years after that, in 2011, Ghost Protocol, and then 4 years after that, in 2015, Rogue Nation. So he says potentially they can see Mission Impossible 6 in 2017, which means they need to start working on it later this year or early of next year if they want to have it ready for a summer of 2017 release. And 2017 is going to be a really, really big year if they really make that happen. I love the Mission Impossible franchise. I would like to see more of these films. But I think one of the charms about these films is that they are released at the right times. You don't want to have too much of a good thing too soon. All right? If you keep on pumping out these films like too fast, too soon, people get tired. I think that the 4-year gap is a great amount of time. And by great, I don't mean a vast amount of time. I mean that it's a good amount of time, like a favorable amount of time, just to get the fans wanting more. All right? So anyways, that's all I really got to say on this video. I just want to give you a couple of updates on what's going on with a couple of potential sequels that Tom Cruise could be involved with. But I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a ranking list of the Mission Impossible films. Okay, I'm going to rank the Mission Impossible films for you guys, starting with number 5. There are 5 of them, of course, and that is Mission Impossible 2, directed by John Woo, which has a 58% rating at Rotten Tomatoes. It made $215 million at the domestic box office and $546 million worldwide. I'm going to put that at number 5, and I'm going to give it a score of 6.5 out of 10. All right? Number 4 is Mission Impossible, the very first film. It has a 62% rating at Rotten Tomatoes. It made $181 domestically and $458 million worldwide, and I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Number 3 is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which is in theaters right now. It has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 93%. I'm not going to talk about the box office because it's still in theaters, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Number 4 is Mission Impossible 3, and it has a 70% rating at Rotten Tomatoes. It made $134 million domestically and $398 million worldwide, and I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And finally, you guys already know what number 1 is, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and it has a 93% rating at Rotten Tomatoes, $209 million domestically, and $695 million worldwide. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It is a very, very great, phenomenal action film, and Tom Cruise really, really nailed this film. Anyways, it's kind of interesting to know that the film, the installment that made the most amount of money is the one that is the least reviewed. I mean, least, the one with the lowest score, right? John Woo's Mission Impossible 2 made $215 million domestically and is the lowest reviewed film. I found it very, very entertaining, but it didn't feel like a Mission Impossible film at all. It felt like just a Tom Cruise film. It was all Tom Cruise. It didn't have the team element in it. It didn't have all the things that we love about it didn't have enough of the things that we loved about Mission Impossible, but Ghost Protocol nailed it because it combined everything we love about the series, all the stunts, all the you know, the recon stuff, the spy stuff, all that stuff, all combined into this movie with a really, really great story. All right, and I love that Tom Cruise, he just knows how to pick the right directors for the job. And you know what? Here's what I'm thinking. If Tom Cruise is not able to get Edge of Tomorrow 2 off the ground, I think that he's gonna get Doug Liman to direct Mission Impossible 6 and have Christopher McQuarrie write it. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Christopher McQuarrie, he had such a great relationship working with him on Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and of course such a great experience working with Doug Liman on Edge of Tomorrow. I think he's going to get that team together to work on Mission Impossible 6. I'm calling it right now. And there you have it. That's all I got to say in this video. Why don't you let me know your guys' rating of the Mission Impossible franchise and in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. And Prometheus 2. Hopefully, it'll be a conclusion to this series. And I say that because if it doesn't conclude, then we're going to have to wait another 5 years